Hi, it's Witten Churchill with the Barefoot Consultants, and I'd like to welcome you to our Freelance Friday call on Facebook, where today we're going to be talking about how to not be a toxic freelancer. There's a special challenge that some baby boomers have as they go into freelancing and learn how to do that, and that might be a toxicity that they're unaware of that limits their ability to freelance and do good work and build a business around freelancing. So we want to talk about those today, and we're happy to see all our members streaming in at this moment, and then also want to welcome those of you that are listening to the playback of this. Very much appreciate you coming on the call, and encourage you to leave some comments or questions in the chat area, and we will answer those even after this call is over if you're watching the recording. So there's lots of good stuff you can get out of that. And so let's talk a little bit about where the toxicity comes from. And I guess that the first toxicity I would call arrogance. And this comes from the place of many baby boomers have accomplished greatly and have excelled in their career and that kind of thing. Many more baby boomers have been, part of the team that gets the work done. So they may not be in the executive suite, but they certainly have decades of experience. And when they first go onto these systems, these online systems like Upwork and Freelancer and all the different ones that are out there, hundreds really, they have this attitude about not getting paid enough. And you have somebody that's used to making 60, 70, 80,000, 100,000, $120,000 a year. And they say, why would I ever go online and work for somebody for, $25 an hour or something like that? And, it comes across as arrogant. A lot of people over the years, I've seen many people turn up their nose at freelancing before they ever even do the first job, just for this reason. And what they're not getting is that first job is an audition job. It's not it's not this is what we're going to pay you forever. It's a new way of interviewing. In the old days, we'd get a resume as perfect as we could get it. We'd be looking for jobs, scheduled job interviews. You'd send your resume in, and then if it was a fit, you'd get a call back for a one-on-one interview. You'd wear your favorite piece of interview clothing and go in and do the interview and that kind of thing. Well, that's gone for the most part, especially if you want to work online. And a lot of us like working online because we don't have to show up someplace. We don't have to wear a coat and tie or, have a whole wardrobe for business stuff. We don't have to commute, that kind of thing. But the reason that this is arrogant, and I've talked to people about this, about what they're thinking through, and they say, well, I'm not going to do a spreadsheet for, to show somebody my expertise in using spreadsheets or PowerPoint or whatever it is for 25 or $50 when, I used to have a staff that did all this stuff for me. I'd rough out the presentation, they do it, whatever it might be. And, the simple fact is that this is the way the interview process goes on. And if you judge the interview process by the amount of money that you make on that first assignment, that first audition assignment, we call them, you're missing the point. You do the audition assignment. A lot of times a freelance buyer will give the exact same assignment to 5 people, 10 people, 15 people, and they will see what comes back. They'll award the exact same assignment to all those people. And there's nothing that screams competent more than the work product that you produce. And, every once in a while, I'll hear somebody that is doing one of those $25 audition jobs, and they say, well, I finished the job. I certainly could do a lot better, but I'm only getting paid $25 to do this. That is a bad attitude to have, because the amount of effort you put into it has a lot to do as to whether you get selected. So something important to think about. And I have seen many of these $25 jobs lead to tens of thousands of dollars worth of work, because when somebody sees your work product, what you produce, what you're able to do, it reflects the clarity of your thinking. It reflects your, your organizational skills, your ability to meet deadlines, that kind of thing. And very important to understand those things. And I just want to welcome some folks in. There's Paula from LA. I see Bob coming in from Roatan. And Paula has a question here. In Upwork, is it possible to make my main profile public and keep my specialized profile private? That's a question I don't know the answer to. I would think not, because your profile is kind of a thing. And in the past, either you showed your profile or you didn't. And that has to do with your being willing to work. Upwork typically wants the people that are freelancers to be ready to go, and want to be able to share all the information about all the goodness that you have. But I will check on that and figure that out, because the specialized profile thing is changing quite a bit. It was an experimental process not long ago that was available to only a relatively small number of freelancers. And then it was rolled out to the rest of the audience, indicating to me, or the rest of the freelancers, that it was very successful and people liked it. And over the years, this has been a big conversation around, can I have multiple profiles? And this really gives you the best of both worlds. So I'll look that up specifically, and we'll talk about that on Tuesday night, and happy to update you. If you can't make the Tuesday night call, we'll put it on here next week. Let me make a note to check that out. And thanks for the question. That's a very good question. Good. All right. Thanks. All righty. Okay. Good questions. So the next thing we want to talk about is being abrupt. And this is more of a style thing. But having the expectation that the person that you're dealing with is a professional. And oftentimes, depending upon if you're in the baby boomers age spectrum, or really anybody over 50, you have frequently a decade or two more experience than the person that is hiring you. And there's an expectation that because they're hiring you, that they know what they're doing and they're organized and that kind of thing. That's not necessarily the case. And so it's something to think about as you go through this process, and be more aware that you are more competent. That's the one thing to think about. But bring that into the conversation in a way that is not confronting or objectionable to the person that you want to do business with. And one of the slight things when I work with people that I talk about is a lot of people in the freelancing world, they see the freelance buyer up here. They're positionally, they're like an employer kind of thing, and they see that, themselves as subservient to that person. And a big part of your mindset of this abruptness comes from feeling that kind of that tension between being up here an employer and up here subservient. And I'd like to coach people to see themselves more as peers. You know, you're a freelancing professional that provides services, and they're a person, a manager, whatever it might be, that needs those services. And you look at them as a peer and somebody that's sitting down to solve a problem in a collaborative way. And that's really the mindset that you want to do this. And a big part of that is bringing your best listening skills and your best conversation skills. You know, we've all heard that, you know, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. And so, you know, thinking about collaborating with an individual creates a much more supportive tone for working with somebody, rather than thinking about them in a employee manager kind of relationship. So this is a big shift that people have to make. And so that's really number two. And then number three is a very interesting one. It's being condescending. You know, it's a little bit different from arrogant. It's a little bit different from abrupt, but it's all about being condescending. And this idea of, you know, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt frequently comes across in baby boomer communications with freelance buyers. You know, you may be talking to somebody who's 32 years old, that's got a job to do, has a project to do, is very professional and skilled in what they're doing. And I know that, you know, I have two adult daughters in their 30s, and the phrase that sends them into cringe mode is, when I was your age, you know. And this sounds the same kind of way if you're condescending, if you're saying, you know, been there, done that. Oh, I've, you know, I'm helping you do this event, but I've done 200 events. I've got, you know, shoes older than you are, you know, whatever. That was some comedian. That was his favorite line. I have loafers older than you are. And so bringing that, that kind of been there, done that. I know how to do this so well. I'm so cool. And you're doing some $25 or $50 initial job. You know, if this is the first job with that particular person, you just don't want to do that. You want to know that, to, you know, there's probably a 60 to 70% chance the freelance buyer that you're working with is younger than you are. And it really is like kryptonite when they begin to hear those, oh, I've done this and I've done that. And not only did I do this other thing, but I did this other thing, you know, 72 times. And it just really sets the person back in terms of their willingness to work with you. And of course, the way to overcome that is resist that temptation to have that conversation. You will, the artful freelancer will sort of transmit all that information to their potential client, or once they become a client, over a period of time. And you want your client, you want to do a very good job on that first job. You don't want to think much about the money. You want to do a great job. And then that's the opportunity, once you've established your ability to perform, is that you move forward. I was talking to a business owner the other day, and they needed somebody to do their business graphics. You know, They're all the time doing podcast and website things and all that kind of stuff. So they have an ongoing need for graphic arts work every week. And they were telling me that they had found a freelancer that's working well for them now. It took them 19 freelancers to find that person that works well. So you want to flip that around and put yourself in the mindset of the freelance buyer, the person that's buying your service. And they oftentimes, especially the more complex the job or the more knowledge or experience the job requires, they're, they have a frustration factor of lots of people that they have tried to bring into their organization and do what they see as relatively simple work. They want it well done. They don't want the best in the world. It just needs to be good, and it needs to be on time, and it needs to be with somebody that helps move through things forward, rather than somebody that's putting a lot of sand into the gears of the process. And so that's that condescending attitude just works against that kind of feeling of cooperation and collaboration. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover today, and wanted to see. I'd like to welcome Sarah. Welcome to the call. And we have a number of people listening live. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. We continue to see articles talking about 10 million more freelancers. We're getting ready for the big in September, what's called the Great Resignation. The thought is September is the time of the year where summer's officially over. Everybody goes back to work. And just based on some of what's happened already, people go back into work, and, with a whole new view of things, they're looking around the office, and they hear, they're working in, cubicles or workspace or whatever. They hear somebody cough or somebody having sinus problems or allergies or whatever it is. And they're saying, is that COVID or is that nothing? Is it simple allergies? And they're having to get dressed up every day to go to the office. They're having to go into boring meetings that they know they shouldn't be in. There's no use for them being in, and those kind of things. So as a result, this thing called the Great Resignation is expected to really be a big thing in September, because it seems like people going back to work in the pandemic do it for about 2 weeks and then say, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to either work as an employee from home with permission with my company. I was talking with somebody the other day that they had worked out a situation where they go in 1 day a week. So they're able to work from home 4 days a week. That's pretty good. That might work. But the other one, their company wouldn't let them work from home. And so they just said, fine, I'll be a freelancer. Turns out the company hired him back as a freelancer. But the person is obviously free to go out and do other work as well, as long as they're not a violation of any non-disclosures or anything like that. So that's where we see the big resignation coming, and look for big changes there. Microsoft is estimating in one division that they're going to see a 41% attrition rate, meaning that 41% of the employees there are going to go out and go freelancing, which interestingly creates a lot of new freelancing work, because those employees know how to do their job. They don't know how to run a business. So they're going to be looking for things like bookkeeping and helping them organize their expenses and all kinds of things. So a pretty big increase in freelancing work from the new freelancers. And also, every employee that goes out as a freelancer had some component of their job that was kind of in the administrative realm or in the creative realm or that kind of thing that they're not going to be doing. And so now the company, Microsoft or whoever it is, needs to quickly backfill that aspect of that person's job. And the thought is that most of these companies are going to turn to freelancers to get that additional help. So very interesting time that we see all this stuff evolving. So, looking forward, I mean, we already have, we're sort of double where we were a year ago in terms of the number of freelance jobs on Upwork, so we've already seen that happening. And with the Delta variant, a lot of people postpone their plans to go back to work, but it seems like another round of injections and another hopefully variant dying out will be the relief we need this fall and winter for people to go back to work. And it's just going to be an interesting experience. It's like I don't know, somebody I know was talking about when they were a kid, like I grew up in Florida, and I mean, from the day school was out, you kind of went barefoot until the day school started again. And it was always tough getting your feet back into your shoes to go back to school. And, what you've got basically is an entire worldwide workforce that's been at home and been enjoying the benefits of working from home. And now they're stuck with this whole idea of going back to work and all the unpleasantries that are associated with that. So it's going to be very hard to get those people to put their shoes back on. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but it'll be very interesting. Well, I'd like to thank everybody that has come on the call today. If you got any information that was helpful to you, would appreciate a like as you head on out of here. And we look forward to seeing you again if you're in our programs on Tuesday night, and if you're attending our Facebook Fridays, we'll be here next Friday. So take care until then. Adios. Thanks for the likes. Appreciate that. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Sarah. Very good. Love those likes. That helps us share this message around Facebook. As many of you know, that there's so many messages going out in Facebook that they constrain those, and the more likes that you get, the more people this gets shared with. So really appreciate that. So have a great week freelancing, and we'll see you here next week. Take care.